Okay, so now we're live on YouTube. I will explain a few things about Talk and Talk before we start. As you know, we are a conversation platform where you can come here and talk in a lot of languages. Today, we're speaking in English about drugs, okay? So I'm sending the questions here on the chat. Just a second. Okay, we have a few more. And before we start, do you have something to say, something to add, maybe related to the video, maybe not? Any observations?
Sim, quando a gente fala sobre, a gente vai falar sobre esse tema, é sobre drogas no geral, ilícitas ou qualquer medicamentos,
Drugs.
coisas.
Anything that is addicting, I guess, right?
Ok.
Because just like in Portuguese, I guess this name, it applies for everything that is addicting, right? Drugs. So like you can think of illegal drugs or like coffee, maybe. It's also a drug. It's a legal drug, right? So let's start talking about drugs. So the first question is, how do you think society's perception of drugs influences people's attitudes towards them? Because like society has a perception about drugs, most of the people don't like them, but how does that influence the people's attitudes towards the use of drugs? So it's a difficult question, but come on, let's do it. Let's start with Matthew. Matthew, how do you think that perception of drugs influences people's attitudes?
I believe that the problem that the people don't have a lot of information about the drugs, about the law that involve the drugs too. And the consequence is the perception, I think, is distorted.
Perfect. Yeah, it's a distorted perception. We don't think it's the correct one, right? People say it's not that bad. Maybe it is, right? Perfect. And you, Suelen, how do you think society's perception of drugs influences people's attitudes towards them?
I don't know. I it changed a lot because some people have a different perspective, perspectiva?
Perception
about the drugs, and I think people feel pleasure in doing things that aren't. I don't know how to explain that in English because I think it's wrong, but algumas pessoas sentem prazer em fazer a coisa errada, you know? So I think that it's, and when the government proíbe, I don't know how to say proíbe in English, I think eu acho que as pessoas fazem mais ainda, porque é proibido. That's it.
Perfect. Makes sense, right? People like to do things that are not legal. I don't know why, but they don't. They are weird. So that's true. But it's a complicated topic, right? Because we always talk about the war against drugs. Okay, drugs have always won this war. So like we don't have the solution until today for that, right? Like if we legalize everything, people will still use them, just like alcohol. It's bad for everyone. So like if we legalize only a part and then the others stay illegal in the hands of the drug dealers. So it's a really complicated topic, right? People don't have the solution to today for that. That's true. Perfect. And you, Rebecca, how do you think society's perception of drugs influences people's attitudes towards them?
Well, I think in our society there is a lot of prejudice around this topic. Around the people that use drugs, we sometimes we don't see as a disease, a kind of disease, a problem, uma doença that needs to be treated when someone is addiction. Not just the use sometimes, but really has problem. And there's a lot of prejudice that if you don't help these people that is in this situation. Also there's the situation about the industry, the medicine situations that can help people that has some disease or any a specific kind of drugs to need to have access to this drug to to treat the disease, but depend of the law, the prejudice on society is difficult to have this permission. So I think our perceptions about drugs is not so much open yet, specifically here in Brazil. So, but since that people are talking more about, I saw some debates about the medicines, some access that is people are trying to change it, if I'm not wrong. And that's a little bit about what I think.
Perfect. I totally agree with you, mostly with the part that you mentioned about the prejudice against people who use drugs, because they are addicted, they have a problem. So this problem needs a solution, and they can't do that by themselves. So like maybe this person doesn't have a family, maybe they don't have friends, so they need to have assistance from the government, because like this is the only one that can help, right? In that type of situation. And we see a lot, right? People are living on the streets, addicted to drugs. So the government should look for them, I think.
Agree.
Perfect. And you, Mariana, how do you think society's perception of drugs influences people's attitudes towards them?
I agree with Rebecca. And most of the time we I don't know how to say, but we take the perception from the older person. For example, some people say most of the addictive it's a thief, and it's not absolutely for everyone. So I agree. We change your perception depends the person who are next to you.
That's true. Each person has a story, right? We can't like generalize everything. If this person used drugs, they are thieves. They are. It's impossible. No, I totally agree with you. Perfect. And you, Priscilla, how do you think society's perception of drugs influences people's attitudes towards them?
So I believe the society think about the opinion, a hard opinion about the illegal, keep focusing this and cause some attitude, revolt or more this desire to use, and about the legal drugs. For example, you said about the coffee, and the medicament in general, it's not good. For example, now the person, I don't know the name in English, depression, use the medicament, hard medicament, but don't think about this, it's drugs, the hard drugs, The people use a lot all the time, and create a dependence about because this, I believe it is the more focus about the illegal. The societies don't think about the other drugs, to causing your health, your mental health too,
That's true. I totally agree with you. People focus too much on the illegal part, but the legal part is also a big problem. There are a lot of people who are addicted to regular medicine, remédio normal that we take. So we should be careful with that too. Perfect. So let's go to question number 2, guys. Have you ever had any personal encounters or experiences that have shaped your understanding of the consequences of drug use? So like, not necessarily you have used drugs, I'm not telling that, but like you've seen someone who was addicted to it, and then maybe it has shaped your understanding about that. So if you ever had this experience. In my case, I had a school friend that nowadays she is in a rehab because she was addicted to heavy drugs. And then nowadays she's still in treatment because of that. And like when she was a kid, she was a regular girl. She didn't do drugs. But then when she grew up, she started using drugs, and nowadays she's in rehabilitation. So it's a personal encounter that I had with someone who used drugs. So let's see about you guys. Rebecca, let's start with you. Have you ever had any personal encounters or experiences that have shaped your understanding of that?
Yes, I know more than one person actually, and I know situation about someone that got over it, not 100%, but is in a good phase, is having uh, his life fine, but he passed for difficult situation, and I saw how it affected the family, how worried they got because of the situation, and how it's difficult to help. Um, but it's a situation that the person is not. How can I say? It's difficult to say that it's 100% because they always face every day and in their life is things that they need to face. Is that challenge every day? It's a situation that I know. Others that I know, I just listen about, but it's not. I know the person, people that live near to me, and I know about some bad things that happen. Um, Especially when a person that has a child, so the situation gets worse. And yeah, that's it. Most of the time, the final is not good when it's addiction. It's not good. But one situation, no, it's fine nowadays. That's it.
It's really complicated. And you mentioned that the family, the person, not the only one person, but the people who depend on you, right? Because like maybe they have children or a husband, a wife. So a lot of people involved, right, in this sad situation. That's true. It's really complicated to help because you are suffering too, even though you're not the person who is addicted, right? So it's complicated.
Yeah.
Perfect. And you, Priscilla, have you ever had any personal encounters or experiences that have shaped your understanding of that?
Yes, unfortunately, when I was teenager, one friend used illegal drugs, yeah, because that the reflects in the now, yeah, because the person needs treatment, yeah, for to don't use nowadays. And I remember other situation about the legal, no, in this case, legal drugs. In my last job, the person used the medicaments for to sleep, yeah. And one day, the person, I don't know the name, I forget. She go at work, and the person totally different, yeah. Don't I can explain, yeah, because the person the face totally different, the comportment, yeah, the person may middle sonolento, yeah, it's speak different, yeah, slow, but maybe stop during conversation, and it's not good.
They get weird, right? They get like a weird person. That's true.
Yes.
And there are a lot of people who are addicted to medicine for sleeping. Because if you take something every day and you can't live without it, you're addicted, right? So there are a lot of people nowadays that they have problems sleeping. They need to take medicine. So they are addicted, right?
Yes.
My dad is one of them, by the way. He can't sleep without it. So he's addicted. It's really complicated.
Situation. Yes, because the medicament is, for example, I don't know the name, tarja preta, yeah, it's so hard because you can, I don't know, survive saying it, yeah, it's depending.
That's true. People should be really careful with this type of medicine because they are made for you to take it for a while and then stop taking it. And people start taking it and want to take it forever. It's not like that, right?
Yes.
So it doesn't make a lot of sense. But a great example that you gave about this person is not an illegal drug, but is a legal drug that affects. Perfect. Yeah. And you, Swelling, have you ever had any personal encounters or experiences that have shaped your understanding of that?
my internet travou. But yes, when I was a teenager, I tried I don't know how to say it, cigarro.
Cigarettes.
But cigarette. And I don't know how to say I tried one time and I cough a lot because tipo, eu engasguei com a fumaça. And I hate it and I don't take it anymore. But in my family has one addicted. It's my older brother. So it's really hard to deal with that. And it's a lot of lies and you have to true, né? Tipo, passar, né? Por isso, and our family have to change our perception about the addictions. And I don't know how to explain. It's really hard. It's really difficult because he already went to I não sei como é que fala, reabilitação. And he was fine for 2-3 months. And after that, he back to do these things again. And it is hard because it's exhausted. So yeah, that's
Yeah, it's really complicated. And cigarettes are a huge problem too, because people are addicted and they think they aren't. And people don't see that as a drug, né?
yeah.
É legalizado, né? People don't see that as a problem, I think.
Yeah.
Because just to put the advertisement that it kills, it doesn't make a lot of difference. People still buy it. Eles colocaram lá o anúncio, né? Ah, cigarro mata, não sei quem. Todo mundo ficou rindo de cigarro. Doesn't make a difference that, right? Because people still buy it. So they should stop selling. Because this thing is terrible for your health. Terrible. So...
Yeah. Nowadays, I hate alcohol. I don't drink alcohol. I don't smoke. I don't do anything, do drugs. Only pills, medication. But I avoid to take medication because I don't know how to explain that. Tipo, eu sinto a dor, fico sentindo a dor o tempo todo. Quando eu não tô mais aguentando mais que eu tomo remédio, porque eu também não gosto de tomar remédio.
Perfect. Yeah, it depends on the person. For example, in my case, if I feel pain, I just take my pill and that's it, because I can't handle it. But it depends on the person. I don't like to take pills either. I avoid, but there are some cases that we need. Of course, it's also a drug, but it's not as harmful as those ones. If you use it carefully, right? Because if you take dipirona every day in a huge amount, you're going to die. Right? So don't do that. But there are a lot of drugs. Everything you need to use in a balance, right? Tudo na vida a gente tem que usar com equilíbrio, né? Falam que até água demais mata, né? Então, assim,
Isso,
we
gente,
can't.
não tô sabendo não.
Menina, that's true. I read about that, that we need to take, like, if you take more water than you can, your body can filter, your kidneys, seus rins, não vão filtrar todos os nutrientes. Então, você só vai beber água e passar direto, because, like, you don't need that amount of water. So, you need to be careful with that, because of your kidneys. Por causa dos rins.
E você vai filtrar demais e os seus rins depois pode dar problema, porque ele não vai ter tempo de filtrar tanta água que você toma. Por isso que tem aquelas regrinhas. Você pode tomar, tipo, 30 ml de água, dependendo do quilo que você tem, as coisas assim.
It's like that. I've heard that too. Be careful. A gente não pode nem tomar água demais, even water. So imagine other things. So everything should be in a balance. So let's see, Matthew, have you ever had any personal encounters or experiences that have shaped your understanding of the drugs?
Yes. A long time ago, I have an encounter with people that talk about their experience with the using drugs. And interesting that the like of the video, the same situation, because the people told for us that the first time that he used the drugs was beautiful, it's very good. And after this, the start the eternal search for the her first time. And here the situation gets worse. Every time she uses it, it's the same of the video. And,
Mhm.
and
Yeah, people say just like that.
yeah. And another is about addicted with the alcohol. I believe that is more common. But the people talk about the you don't it is like it's prohibited you try to escape for the situation alone. You need it for help.
Mhm. Yeah, that's
Don't
true.
don't did nothing alone, and don't try help another person alone too, because I remember the people that escape for the situation about the use of drug, try to help your friend, he come back to use drug.
Mhm. You get influenced by it, right?
Yeah.
So it's really complicated. And people convince a lot, né? People just say it's good, it's a good thing. And mostly with alcohol, I guess, because like it's something that is good. We like to drink alcohol usually, right? But we need to have that in a balance. So like if you are avoiding it and your friend who likes to drink calls you for, I don't know, let's go to a bar. You want to go, but it's not a problem. But if you're trying to avoid, you can't go, right? So everybody should help, I think, right? Totally agree
I
with you,
like the
Max.
video. When they start the video, I remember that this is
Yeah, this video is really famous because of that. People say it's the same situation. Like you, the first time you use a drug, you get really happy, and then it's
yeah.
just decrease. So
That's
yeah, people say it's good, right? But it's not. So that's it. And you, Mariana, have ever had any personal encounters or experiences that have shaped your understanding of the consequences of drugs?
Yes, my mother-in-law is bipolar and depressive, and she abused of the medications. And she, for example, in 1 week, she drink a bottle of Rivotril, and she go to the hospital because that with intoxication, and she has 15 years old, and she was broken. She can do anything. Yeah, the memories is bad, and she shaking all the time, can't write correctly, and ah, don't have strength for do anything. She fought a lot. Caiu, acho que é falta a lot. For example, she fought the last year and broke his arm, and she make a surgery for do some pinos. So she has addictive, and she can't live out of your medication. She have a bag that enormous with a lot of medication, and she drink a lot. For example, his nail hurts. She have a medical for that, and drink and drink and drink and just drink. And
Yes,
I don't
right.
know how she do that, because the psychologa one time said for her, I can't you treat you anymore. Não era psicóloga, another
The
psychiater.
psychiatrist.
Yeah, said for her, I can't treat anymore because I can pay so much medication for you, and you don't have a melhora. It's difficult. It's very difficult because she has anxiety. She has anxiety, and before they finish the medication, she wants to buy more and more and more, and they spend a lot of money. If you don't have control with this, we give money, and she has the medication in your house, you know. It's legal drugs, but she was addictive in this, and I don't know, but she descobriu or find with dentist can transcribe some medication for her. So yeah, she go to the dentist and tell him about your problems, and he do some transcription for some drugs for her.
Jesus Christ. And they
Yeah.
can't do that. This is a huge problem because, like, there are some pharmacies, some drugstores that sell drugs without receipt, né? And then some doctors do that. So imagine the chaos. Everybody can take Rivotril whenever we want, and that's it. But life's not like that. We need to live without Rivotril, right? And then I needed to take Rivotril for a time, and I don't want it anymore. So, like, stop using it.
But in this case, the dentist transcripted her. Meu Deus. It's not Rivotril, but it's another medication. It's tarja azul, aquela verde, alguma coisa assim que você também precisa de receita. I forget the name. I was used for a time, but when I arrived here, I can't stop. I stopped to drink, and it's difficult because I used it for 5 years, but I said for myself, I will change my life. I will completely change my life, and I will stop to use it. But it's difficult because sometimes I feel so angry and I want to do como que eu falo? Sou calma, parede, but it's normal now. I treated my angry with my psychology.
But that's it. Those methods are the healthiest ones. Go to a therapy, look for a psychologist, because medicine, they are the worst case. You need to take them when you are in the worst case. Just like Swelling said when she was here, that we need to feel the pain. And then the drugs need to be the last one, the last alternative, right? And people should be aware of that, right?
And I start to do more exercise. So, like... algumas pessoas sabem aí, participam de algumas organizações. I go to the gym, I start to play some games, something like that.
Distractions, we need to have those. And people nowadays, they need to work all the time. They don't want to have good times, and they use drugs. Okay, they can have a happy time in their life. So we don't need that. We can try something else. Sometimes we need, of course, but most of the times we don't. So let's go to question number 3. What are some abstract or symbolic representations of drugs that you can think of? And what do you think they convey? For example, in the video, they showed that yellow ball. That yellow ball they called nuggets, right? And it was a representation, an abstract representation of drugs. So what others can you think of that people usually say that to tell people that they shouldn't use drugs? I've seen a lot. I've seen people talking about chocolate, that you can't eat chocolate too much because it's just like a drug. It's just an abstract representation of drug, right? So what are some that you can think of? So, Rebecca, what are some abstract representations of drugs that you can think of?
Well, there's some, for example, a lot of colors and shine. Some pictures like that, they intend to representation the feeling of a drug. We see a lot on social media. Also, when we say something, it's as a drug, but we can say that it's something good, so good. We are addiction, but it's a way expression that we have to say that we like something, as you said, chocolate, but can be other things. a place so calm, you feel so relaxed in some place, or listen some music and you say, this song is a drug. I can't stop listening. But about other kinds of symbolic, let me think. Yeah, I think it's more about these pictures that we see online. And there's a lot of situations that they try to represent a drug and without being directly. And that is something that I remember now.
Perfect. These one of colors, they are really famous. Now, when they try to represent the effect of drugs, they say it's something beautiful the first times, right? Yeah. Perfect. And you, Márcio, what are some abstract representations that you can think of?
I need to go to travel for the answer to this question. I start with the headlight, because I think this stop, don't go for this way. After the pass the headlight, start the yellow, because I think is the people they feel a good sensation. After this gray, because not good.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a nice comparison, right? That makes sense. Perfect. And you, Mariana, what are some abstract or symbolic representations can you think of?
When I think in a picture for represent the drugs, a screw come in my mind, because no, it's like a death for your physical body and for your mentally, or something like that. I can't to thinking another thing.
Perfect. Makes sense, right? It's a death, because a part of your brain is going to die when you use those things. So that's it. And you, Priscilla, what are some abstract or symbolic representations that you can think of?
So sincerely, I don't understand very well this question, but about the symbolic, about the, for example, I don't use it, you can add about, because you use it frequently, about that, maybe the advertise about the when I use it, yeah.
Yeah, like how do people portray that? Yeah, more or less like that. How do people portray umas coisas mais abstratas para representar, né, os efeitos das drogas. For example, Rebecca said the colors, né? Mas said the lights. Mariana said it's like a skull, né? Crânio. So it depends. Each person sees one thing, né? A pessoa vê uma coisa diferente. Então seria isso, né? Qual é a representação assim abstrata? Can you think of?
I'm thinking about this symbol. Symbol, yeah, about the picture, about the advertise, about the something. For example, in the cigarettes, you can see the symbol about that. I don't know. I don't know about that.
Yeah, it's a complicated question. Yeah. Just like Márcio said, it's a complicated question. You need to think of a lot of things. That's true. Perfect. Okay, don't worry. We're going to the next one. So question number 4, sorry. Have you ever had a conversation with someone who had a different perspective on drug use? What did you learn from that discussion? Not only drug use, but can be like drug legalization or those things. I have already had a conversation with a lot of people because like, young people, they think a lot of different things, right? And then I have some friends who think all drugs should be legalized. I have friends who think that non-drugs should be legalized. I have some friends that think that only cannabis should be legalized. So like each person thinks a different thing. And I also had a conversation with people who think that drug use is not that bad for you. You just need to use in moderation, but it's impossible. So you shouldn't use at all. So like, it depends on the person. But let's see if you already had a conversation like that. Let's start with Márcio. Márcio, have you ever had a conversation with someone with a different perspective?
I believe it's not a conversation, but I have a friend that in Brazil, he bought marijuana. I don't know in English, but it's illegal, no? This situation. And nowadays he lives and work in USA. And nowadays he continue using the marijuana, but he bought in a shop the cigarettes from marijuana. Interesting because I watch a video about the businessman that they say that this product in USA, and some people show that the same product in Brazil. He said that the marijuana, Brazilian marijuana, was wet. Is dangerous because maybe has a fungus. Uh, he don't understand that the people bought this kind of drug because of the quality. And I can compare the situation in Brazil and USA because the business have a lot of money in the USA. I don't know. I talk about this.
No, but this is, I've seen a documentary talking about it. I guess it's even on Netflix. A guy from USA who sells, he's on the work of, oh my God, he's on the cannabis business on the USA. And then he says that the drugs that are illegal, they are terrible because, of course, all drugs are terrible. But in that case, in cannabis, since it's illegal, the quality is even worse. So people can get more addicted to it because they prepare it with a different way. And I don't know. And then I've seen something like that too. And it's complicated because it really depends on where you are, right? Like he's in USA and everything's fine. Here, it's not. So.
Take the time for answer this question with Marcio say, and you say, I agree with Marcio. I thought when you assign deliberation for marijuana ou cannabis, eu não sei qual que é.
Cannabis, you can use both.
I thought the cities it can be like Cracolândia. Every city in Brazil is like that, but here, for example, it's liberado for using, and I don't see the people together for use. It's normal. We don't see eu não sei, tipo, moradores de rua ou pessoas na rua addicted with this using this. I don't know if this can be como que fala, gente? Aquela que saúde pública, alguma coisa assim, I don't know. But my first perception changed because that. Because everybody it's like normal, you feel the smell, but it's just a normal person to use it and don't bore you, don't make a mess in the street, don't anything, you know. It's just my my answer for complete the things you said and Marcio say too.
No, but this is something that we hear so much when we talk to foreigners or people who lived abroad, because it's totally different. People go to Amsterdam in the Netherlands and they say there's completely different because it's normal. It's something completely different. But I guess it's related to culture. Now, here in Brazil, we have this conservative culture. We can't do that. So
you go some store and you see a reservation part for cannabis things. And you can find remédios, you can find creams for something and food with cannabis. So it's normal. It's not like I thought it was being, but like you said, this is open a door for another drugs. So I don't know. I have minhas opiniões sobre isso, mas não, sei lá.
Yeah, it's complicated. Each person thinks one thing. So it's impossible for us to have a concrete answer that, it should be legalized. It shouldn't be. Should we legalize all things? It's complicated. Because like we have drugs that are legalized, like cigarettes and alcohol, and in some countries, cannabis is also legalized. So like, what should we do? It's really complicated, so we don't have an answer. So let's see. Priscilla, have you ever had a conversation with someone who had a different perspective on drug use?
So I don't remember the specific discourse about that, about the dislike or like something, and the specific about the illegal, drugs, because I consider this a more intentional conversation, the different opinions about that. For example, here in Brazil, I consider the same options, the same opinions about that, because I consider people to don't dislike about the use the drugs, but to compare the other countries, you said and Mariana said, it's legal, It's complicated to speak about that because I have one opinion, but I prefer don't speak about. But I'm about the discussion in general. I consider you need respect, their opinion. If you use, I need respect to you. In Brazil, it's illegal. I respect too. But in the other countries, it's totally different about the situation, about the use, about the how to use it, or the specific location, maybe. And it's, in my opinion, it's important to respect this. It's a hard situation,
That's true.
This context in general.
Ô, Bri, eu também não concordo, não. Eu não, assim, eu só estava contando assim, um ponto de vista diferente, sabe?
Não, eu entendi.
Eu não concordo com isso, não. Você é doido? Eu nem uso, nem nada.
Eu não entendi, você só deu um exemplo, por isso eu entendi, fica tranquila.
Don't
Mas
worry,
eu tenho
girls,
uma opinião,
don't worry.
eu tenho uma opinião, gente. Mas assim, em relação ao Brasil, eu tenho uma opinião. Talvez a minha opinião, não sei, pode ser maluca, mas pode resolver algumas coisas. Mas enfim.
I have an opinion too about this problem in Brazil, but like it depends on the person. I guess each person sees one thing, each person thinks one thing. So like that's it. That's life. So
It's to involve many things, to involve money, to involve the society, to involve the finance. It's more intentional, in my opinion, because to involve the people don't have extortion or don't have information about this, maybe use the not correct when I use this. I don't know. It's hard, guys.
Yes, it is. No, yes, it is, for sure. Perfect. And Rebecca, tell us your opinion. Have you ever had a conversation with someone who had a different perspective on drug use?
Yes, I rarely discuss about this topic, but I have a huge opinion about it. But I try to be delicate and comprehensive because I know that's a dramatic situation. But I think, and I take it in consideration. But my opinion that most of the time I keep to myself. I understand that drugs is a topic that involves a market that moves. It's about a lot of money. It makes so much money as soccer, football, and as in more fashion industry, for example. So it involves politicians, involves so many, more than we see. We see the family, the problems there, but the problem is too much huge than that. So, when I talk with someone, I try to be comprehensive. I don't about it because we see a reality, but in a other perspective, other thing in a way more than we just see and statistic research. What is happening? It's a very difficult topic because it's so much money and involved. But in my opinion, I see countries, not just Europe, countries here near to Brazil, in America, that they can at least try avoid some consequence that the drugs comes to the country when they become it legally. So I'm more kind of this point I understand the arguments about legalization, but when I'm talking with someone, it's rarely okay. I don't talk too much about it. I try to be comprehensive and balance it. What we see in our reality, but I understand in other points of view. And it's a topic very delicate, I think.
No, yes, it is. We need to understand the other point of view because each person has a different reality and a different view and also a different culture, right? So like, it's really complicated. When I was in school, I had a friend that in her family was completely normal to smoke cannabis. Like in her, it was normal. Her mother smoked cannabis, her grandmother smoked cannabis, everyone. And then it was normal. Just like cigarettes is normal. So like, it's a different culture. For her, it's an absurd to be illegal because it's normal in her family. They had like in their house a plant. So like, it's their culture. In my house, it was not. Like, it depends, right? So we can't say that one answer is the correct one, one opinion is the correct one. It's impossible. Perfect, guys. And I agree, it's a delicate topic. But I like delicate topics. So, guys,